How do you know which bankruptcy is right for you? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hi, my name's Attorney Leroy Roberson, and I've been working with clients for years to answer this exact question. Now, the two chapters I'm going to focus on today are Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcies. And I felt the easiest way to kind of break this down is kind of just do a comparison of the two. Now, let's start with the Chapter 7 bankruptcy. This is what I would call a liquidation bankruptcy, where you're going to wipe out most of your unsecured debts like credit cards and medical bills. And a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, this is more of a reorganization type of bankruptcy where you're going to be on a payment plan that's going to allow you to catch up on missed payments on your mortgage, car payments, things like that. So who's going to qualify for each? Well, for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you can be an individual or a business, whether you're a corporation, a limited liability partnership, or even a partnership. All of those qualify for Chapter 7s. In a Chapter 13, you must be an individual or a sole proprietorship to be able to file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And what are some of the other eligibility requirements of them? Well, for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, your disposable income needs to be low enough to pass something that's called the means test. Now, don't worry if you don't understand disposable income or means test. I'm going to make more videos where I'll go more in depth on each one of those. And for a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, your unsecured and secured debts, they have a cap on how much you can have in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Now, these numbers do change from time to time. So at the time of me recording this video, for unsecured debt, that amount is going to be $419,275. And for secured debt, it's going to be $1,257,850. So as you can see, those numbers, a lot of people are going to fall within that. So Chapter 13 is going to be a feasible option for a lot of people. And, since those numbers changed, I wanted to make sure I went to my notes so I was accurate and didn't give you guys the wrong numbers. Now, the next question, and this may be one of the most important questions people want to know, is how long is each one of these going to take? For a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, as long as everything goes well, usually they take between 3 and 4 months, for a Chapter 7. So you're in and out in about 3 to 4 months, generally, as long as there's no issues. For a Chapter 13 case, this is going to go on between 3 and 5 years, which is a lot longer. But remember, you're making payments and you're catching up on debts with your home or credit cards, not credit cards, but on your car loan. So that's why it may take a little bit longer. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that it takes longer because there's different functions on each one of them. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is what happens to your property with each one of these types of bankruptcies. In a Chapter 7, while there are vehicles in a Chapter 7 that will allow you to keep most of your property because you can protect a lot of the assets, you're not necessarily able to protect all of your property in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Now, contrast that to a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. You can keep all of your assets in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. You don't have to get rid of anything because you're making payments, you're catching up, and you're allowed to keep everything in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So there's no issues there. And another cool thing that you're going to want to think about when you're deciding between the two, and this vehicle is only allowed in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Let's say you own a home and you have 2 mortgages, a first and a second mortgage. Well, in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you're allowed to, as long as certain requirements are met, you can actually get rid of your entire second mortgage in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. This is not an ability in a Chapter 7. So if you have a home and you have a first and a second mortgage, that's definitely something that you're going to want to keep in mind when making your decision. So in talking about all of this, how can I break down what is the real benefits of each? Well, in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the biggest benefit, you're going to wipe out most of your general debt pretty fast. 3 to 4 months, you're in, you're out. Unsecured debt like credit card bills, medical bills, they're going to be able to be wiped out. In a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, a big benefit is you're going to be allowed to keep all of your property, and you're also going to be able to catch up on missed payments on things like your mortgage and car loans and any other assets that you may be behind on payments on. It's going to allow you to catch up on those. The last thing I want to talk about is, well, what are the drawbacks of each one? Well, for Chapter 7, your main drawback is going to be that you may not be able to exempt all of your property, and so some of it may be sold through the bankruptcy process. And also, there's no ability to catch up on payments. You can't avoid foreclosure and repossession of some of the assets in a Chapter 7. The drawbacks in the Chapter 13 bankruptcy is you are on a repayment plan for 3 to 5 years that you have to make payments on. And some of that unsecured debt that gets wiped out in a Chapter 7, you may have to pay a portion of that back over a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So there it is, guys. That's my quick breakdown on the two to kind of help you make a decision on which chapter is right for you. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to get in touch with me and we can sit down, we can go over which situation is right for you, because to be honest, every person's situation is different and every person's circumstances is different. And, you know, we can sit down, go through your individual circumstance and figure out what's best for you to get you back on the road, give you the relief, the comfort, and the new beginning that you need. So that's it, guys. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.